Well, I'll begin by saying what I said to everybody on Thursday at the Mass of Thanksgiving. That person on the cover of that bulletin is me. Believe it or not. You know, the question was an excellent question. People of Galilee, why are you standing looking up at the sky? Certainly, there might be a variety of answers to it, particularly watching a human disappear into the sky without external help. But I don't think it was the disappearance of Jesus that stunned his disciples. I think it was a realization of the transition that was happening before their eyes. If Jesus was going away, what about us? What are we supposed to do? What happens to all the talk about the kingdom of God? What are we to make about all that time that he was with us and showing us wonders and signs? The disciples are stunned because they now realize that the ministry that Jesus did was now going to come to them. And if Jesus left them, that meant it would now come to them. And among all the questions that Easter raises in our lives, the one that stuns us most is the realization, what are we going to do as disciples of Jesus? Since the very foundation, there's always been an altar now, a praise, an altar where people come to receive the Lord, to continue his work. And that's what we celebrate today, that continuation that's entrusted to you, who have been baptized, who have been confirmed, and now are called and empowered to continue that work. Jesus, what he did, the signs and wonders took place in a little location. But after the ascension, and thanks to the disciples, to you and me, it would go to the far corners of the world, as Pope Leo will remind us now in his election. You know, yesterday we had the ordination of 4 young men who, for the diaconate, transitional diaconate. One of those will be joining us tomorrow, beginning his little assignment. But when they come in now with their baptismal candle. They have their robe now on their shoulder, on their arm, and their parents are bringing them down. And so it was a beautiful sight. But then what happens is that later in the liturgy, they're called to leave their families, and then they come forward to begin the process. I always like to look at the parents and the guardians, their eyes, because it's always stunning, because it's a realization to the parents that this son is leaving them and embracing something powerful. But it's also a realization for them that now something is going to happen that they're entrusted with. And I always remember that because my mom said that was the thing that really got to her. And I think it's a realization. And yet when you become a priest, you celebrate now the very gift now of priesthood and being able to celebrate the sacraments, bring Christ to others. But you go through that wonderful time of the party, the celebration, all the good things that happen. And then you begin your assignment that first day. And I remember appearing now, which, by the way, 40 years ago today was my anniversary. But I appeared on my first assignment. Thank you. I appeared at St. Thomas Aquinas. And give you a little background. Number one, when you were ordained a priest, at my time, you went back into the sacristy and you, after the oils had been on your hands, and you did a little preparation back there before you came out. And then we did not know where we were going until then. You were given an envelope. So that was a little scary. But someone had sneaked a little something to me. They told me, all I can tell you is the silos. The silos. And those of you who live in Alpharetta know the silos. But I was coming from Decatur, little Decatur. I had no clue what was up here. That meant nothing to me. But nonetheless, when I appeared on the door now at the rectory, Monsignor Jim Fennessy, Father Fennessy at the time, handed me the keys and left for what we call the Irish month, which is 6 weeks. So that was it. And I always tell people, I think that first week I had an emergency call at what was little old North Fulton. It was just a small little hospital there. And so I didn't know how to get there because I had just come from Miami. Think of Miami Vice all the time, the 80s? Yeah. I come to this country little place now with cow pastures. I couldn't sleep for a week because it was so quiet. I was used to shootings, you know. So I get there, and it's pitch black. I'm making my way down Rucker Road in pitch black, and I get to the end to Alpharetta Highway, and I said, GPS was not there, and I have no sense of direction. There was a Hardee's there, and it still is. And I said, thank God, I have a landmark. So I made it back, and I said, please make sure those lights are on so I know where to turn, and came back. But it was a realization, now the work begins, and now it happens. For those 4 men, yeah, they'll start their preparation. They'll be in a parish for a couple of months, and the reality will set in. For the new priest next year, it will be the same thing. For those of you who are married, you know that after the honeymoon is over, there's realities to check. But the Lord has entrusted all of us with something very special. And what we do now is not a spectator sport. It's not about watching what happens. It's about taking it in and knowing that we're empowered for something very special out in the world. We come now slowly to the conclusion of the Easter season now. Next week is Pentecost. We celebrate now the birth of the church, the official birth and beginning now, which, by the way, everybody next week, wear your finest red, okay? We want to be on fire with the Lord again. And we'll celebrate that as we conclude this beautiful season of resurrection, and then come before the Lord in a very special way to receive him and know that we celebrate a birthday, but again, all the things have been entrusted to you and to me in your family, in your school, in your work, all those places. And we give thanks to God for that. So let the good work continue.